Like, what about you? What about the work that you're doing on yourself? Like, you want to be alone, you're bored, but you don't want to do the inner work to do better and be better. Get ready with me to just get ready. You know, sometimes you just gotta get ready and see where the day takes you. So I figured I would do just very light makeup. This is me. I have DIY lashes on, and yeah, it's not a makeup tutorial. I'm here to talk about life and relationships and about people that just love to waste time. I feel like it's exhausting putting yourself out there, but the most exhausting part about it, it's not like meeting new people that's exhausting. It's meeting new people that don't know what they want and are emotionally unavailable and haven't done the inner work prior to putting themselves out there. I recently started counseling. I've done a lot of inner work. I've worked on myself. I'm still a work in progress. I feel like we are always a work in progress. No one's perfect. No one will ever be perfect. But there's some work that you need to do. And I've been through a lot in my past. So I figured, you know what? Why not? If I even get just the littlest thing from it, it's better than absolutely nothing. Yesterday was my third session, and honestly, we had such an amazing conversation. I brought up some recent people in my life that I have seen, and you know, we talked about some attachment patterns and attachment styles, which I never really knew about that prior to this. So like I said, you know, there's definitely something that you can learn from anything that you do in life. So she was just talking about like attachment styles, and she's just like, well, it sounds like, you know, the person that you're with has a different attachment style than you, and that's why you guys are clashing. Like, you need to find someone that has a similar attachment style as you, and it makes sense. Like, I know this foundation's a little bit light for my skin. This is like my winter one, and I am a lot darker than I normally am, but just trust the process. Anyways, so the 4 different attachment styles is 1, anxiety. There's avoidant, and then the third one, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a mix of avoidant and anxiety. And then the 4th one is like you're secure, and basically like you accept the love. You're not afraid to put yourself out there. You don't push people away. Like, you know, you're healed and you're like ready to put yourself out there and date. Now, we were talking about my attachment style, and before like she gives me like her opinion or like what she thinks, she likes to ask me like what I think, like how I feel about myself and what I think that I am. I said that I feel like I'm more like secure. And whatever, we were talking and she was explaining things a little bit more, and I said, I do kind of feel like, although I do feel like I am secure, I do feel like there's a bit of like the first one, which is the anxiety. And I say, because I've been through so much, I'm afraid to get hurt again, but like it's not so extreme to the point where I'm letting it affect the relationship, where I'm pushing that person away. I'm just very, you know, upfront. I'm very honest. I know what I want, and I know what I can bring to the table. I know that what I can offer. So that's why I'm more on the secure side. It's just that, you know, there's still, and it's normal. I don't know how to multitask. This is why I don't do tutorials. This is why I don't do any of this stuff, because I can't do both. Anyways, yes, I lick my brush, I wet my brush, whatever. So anyways, and it was really nice to honestly hear from a professional. You sound like you're doing, and you've done a lot of healing, and you've done a lot of inner work. Like, you know, some people go into counseling and they're a mess, and, you know, the counselor really needs to like pour into this person. And you know, we talk about a lot of different things and different topics. We talk about family, we talk about past, we talk about relationships, we talk about work, we talk about finances, we talk about my kids, we talk about so many different things. And it's just really nice to hear from a professional to be like, yeah, you've done a lot of work, and you know, it's great that you're open to love after everything. So it felt really nice because I'm like, I know that I put a lot of effort. I've been in several relationships. I've been in long-term relationships. My longest relationship was 7 years, but I had taken that time to be alone and really like focus on myself, and heal from what I've been through. I'm not that type of person to let my past determine, dictate, or impose on my future. I don't take my past into present relationships. So I feel like no matter what bad I've been through, I feel like the next person doesn't deserve that. And if you were letting it impact that, then that relationship's never gonna work. It won't fully work, and you won't be the happiest if you don't let go of those things. So I do really like counseling. I think that it's very important. I think it can really benefit a lot of people, whether it's trauma from relationships, from past. Like there's even things that you think that aren't affecting you and actually are. Like she touched on something that I was just like, wow, like this, I didn't even realize that. Like you made me notice like this situation. So like it's really good. And I just, as much as I'm like open to these relationships, it's also, like I said in the beginning, like it's exhausting because there's other people. Like you can't control others. You can't control like how they respond to things, how they react to things. Like you can only work on yourself. You can't change a person, you can't change their ways. Like a lot of women, we tend to like stick around for potential, and that's something that we can't do, honestly, because if we've done the inner work and we, you know, have healed from things, and you know, we know what we want, but the other person doesn't, and they have all these issues, honestly, it's just better you go your separate ways, because you can't do the work for them. They have to do it, and they have to be willing to do it. I feel like for me, the biggest thing is like, because I know no one's perfect, no one will ever be perfect. The most attractive thing for me in a man is a trying man. A man that's like, you know, I'm willing to do better. I want to do better. You know, someone who's self-aware, who's emotionally available, but also can say like, you know what, yes, I messed up and I'm going to do better. That I'm going to work on it. Like that is the biggest thing, because the biggest and first step in growth is literally like acknowledgement and acceptance. Like to be like, yeah, like I recognize that I did this. I recognize that this is wrong. I recognize that I shouldn't be this way. You know, like that's the first step. And a lot of people cannot do that. It's their ego, it's their pride. There's so many things. And for a man to be able to do that and to be able to be like, you know, to understand your other person's needs, and if like she comes to you or he or she comes to you and says like, you know, you did this and it bothered me, like, okay, babe, like, you know what, I'm so sorry, like, I'm gonna work on it. Like, that to me is one of the most attractive things that a man can do. So honestly, if you've healed and you've done the inner work, it's literally not fair to you to get with somebody that has all this trauma and has all this issues and doesn't want to work on it. If they're willing and you are willing to stick through it and wait it out, like that's different. You also have to see like what you're willing to work with and what you're willing to compromise. But if you know what you want and that person's not giving that, or they're not even trying, it's not fair to you. So it's like oftentimes we stay stuck in situations or relationships that we know aren't going to work in the long run, but because of that potential that we're waiting on, that's why we stick it through, and then it just ends up being chaos. And you know, we feel like we're invested, or we feel like we owe someone something and all these things. But like there's so many signs in the beginning that are shown to us that we just need to recognize. So I don't know who is out there. There's a lot of you guys that are out there that are literally bored out of your mind, literally, because that's what it is. You don't want to be alone, you're bored, but you don't want to do the inner work to do better and be better. You know, like I said, you can't control the other person. Like, so many people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to be alone, I want to find someone, this generation's this, generation that, it's so hard to meet people. But like, what about you? What about the work that you're doing on yourself? Like, I always hear people like complaining about the other person, but it's like, have you healed? Have you worked on yourself? Like, what are you bringing to the table? You know, and I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about any of those things, because yes, those things are important. You guys honestly need to take some time alone. Even like if you're going from relationship to relationship, like, you're not healing. Like, there's things that we take from every situation, every circumstance, every relationship. You know, some impact people more than others, and you know, but man, like, stop, because you're breaking other people. If you're not ready, and just be clear, honestly. Like, that's fine if you just want a good time, if you want friendship, if you want, hey, there are men and there's women that just want, you know, maybe a booty call. You know what I mean? But be clear from the get. Don't come into someone's life who's healed and, you know, say that you can provide all these things when really you can't. And honestly, I can't speak for women, but what I notice that men tend to do is like, they'll find a woman that they would want, even though they're not ready for her, but they won't be honest with her because they still want parts of her. And like, that's not cool. But like I said, there's flags, there's signs. You'll know when a person is ready for a relationship and when a person is not. Sometimes it is hard because when you first meet someone, like, there's a mask and everyone's like on their best behavior in the beginning until they start to get comfortable and let their guard down. How long that takes, it varies. But in between that time, there's definitely signs, and you need to make that decision sooner rather than later. You know? I don't know. I just finished my makeup. I don't know where I'm going, but rant over.